This is the story of Bobby, a young boy who was disliked by all of his friends. Despite being a good student, Bobby was an outcast at school. Even teachers didn't like him. Mostly, this was because Bobby kept to himself and was always thinking or daydreaming. The fact that his parents couldn't buy him the best clothes and tech made the problem even worse, though he wasn't really into material things. One day, the school took a field trip to a meatpacking plant for biology class. The kids were all excited to learn about how hamburgers and meatballs were made. Some of the kids, however, were just excited to see blood and animals getting killed. They called themselves the Cool Gang for obvious reasons. They hated Bobby a lot, not just because he was smart or that his family was poor. They also hated him because they were cruel and didn't like anyone they thought was weaker than them. On the day of the field trip, nothing would be the same again. As soon as the teacher wasn't looking, the Cool Gang grabbed Bobby and dragged him away into one of the more secret areas. This was a place that wasn't allowed on the tour, and that nobody but employees were allowed to go. The evil kids strapped Bobby down to one of the animal-killing tables and started killing him. First, they used knives to cut off some of his skin. Then, they used saws to cut off his arms at the elbow. No matter how much Bobby screamed out, no one heard him because they all thought it was just a cow. The school left the field trip and didn't notice Bobby was gone because he kept to himself all the time and didn't want to get involved in drama or being popular. It was 7 days until an employee of the meatpacking plant finally found him. They had gotten a week off because this happened during Christmas. When they found Bobby, he had somehow replaced his arms with meat hooks, butcher knives, and meat cleavers, all tied together and kept on him with bloody cow leather straps. He had gone 100% insane. Bobby stayed at the hospital for a few days after that, until doctors could be sure he wasn't going to die from bleeding or being mangled. He wouldn't talk, and instead just groaned like an animal. He could only tell nurses what he wanted by clacking together the knives and hooks. He did 1 clank for yes, and 2 shings for no. Finally, the doctors let Bobby go. His family was really worried because he didn't want any of the Christmas presents they had brought to the hospital for him. They had spent all they had to make sure he was happy, which wasn't much because they were poor. In fact, when Bobby got home, the first thing he did was sneak out of his room and get away from his parents and his sister Kylie. He snuck to the garage to sharpen his blade arms, and when he was done he licked the car battery, and his face exploded to a horrible red ground beef style of look. Bobby liked the way he looked now, seeing himself reflected in one of the butcher knives. He knew that the old him was dead, and now this new him was the one that would be able to get revenge on all the people who had ruined his life, even if it was just because they had been stupid instead of mean. The first thing Bobby did was kill his parents, because they had always been poor instead of making a good life. He tried to kill Kylie, but she got away, and swore revenge for him killing her parents. She needed time to come up with a plan, though. Bobby hung his parents from hooks in the house like they were sides of beef, and he carved them up. Then, it was time to go after the Cool Gang. Those kids had destroyed Bobby most of all with the fact they cut him so much. He knew they liked to hang out at the mall like all popular kids who wasted their lives, so he went to the mall and waited for them. One of the Cool Gang went into a changing room in the clothing store, and Bobby was waiting there. The first kid was hung up on the dressing room wall hangers by his eyes. Another one of the Cool Gang went into the bathroom near the food court, and there Bobby was. That kid got burned up with a hot hand-drying blower and was drowned in a toilet. Bobby had a difficult time catching the last Cool Gang member, until the bad kid made a fatal mistake and tried to use a photo booth. The photos that came out were all red from so much blood. Nobody knows how he got killed because of that. Every time he killed one of the Cool Gang, he said a scary phrase. Meet your doom. Bobby was glad to have taken care of the people who ruined his life. Then he decided to kill more people, too. Not just people in his school, but everyone. He had a new name, though, because Bobby was dead, as I already said. "Mr. Slaughterface," he said. He said it 3 times into a mirror and disappeared. Someday, maybe he will get you.